I wasn't. We weren't watching. I mean, at least I wasn't watching this stuff about their technology. I mean, I in a way, I'm kind of tired of all this technology, but I thought, it would give us a new perspective. And and this, you raise this question with me is, if we're in a simulator, you know, if you're flying a flight simulator for an airplane, you can get in the flight simulator and it's usually a pretty close approximation for what the real airplane is like. So like, I mean, today you'll have a senior captain that's flying an Airbus 340 that's got 20 years of flying experience. They'll put him in a simulator for another airplane. He'll get checked out in that, and then the first time he flies as a captain, he'll have a full load of passengers. That's how trustworthy these simulators are of the real thing. And so, and I was just thinking that, I'm not looking at this stuff in the sense that, I want to learn about how they do it so I can make my own pyramids and all that. That's not really why we're looking at it. I just thought it would help us see through the false reality that we're living in, the illusion, and be able to get maybe a better idea of what the real side is like. So, like the old saying, as above, so below. I was hoping that was so different than everything that everybody else teaches on the planet, that it might help me see more of what's going on in the real side to increase my awareness. So the question is, which of these illusions in our simulator can we actually look at to help us become more aware?
Yeah, that's the fun part, and that is that, it's funny. I was listening to, the old saying, "So above, so below." That's creation, okay? Because above and below, left and right, that's all creation, and so we're comparing creation to creation. So yes, I use the flight simulator thing many times as a reference because, again, pilots, before they fly, they're going to go through the simulator. So that reference is into creation, and then, like you're saying, you go, well, then for the real thing. Well, actually, the real thing that you're referencing is also a simulator, isn't it? The plane that's being flown. You see, that's a simulator too. But you think it's the real thing. See, so again, I'm not saying you, I'm just saying the idea that it's one idea to another, it's still in creation. So what I'm saying is that bringing your real awareness. So this is where, as we're going through this process and trying to explain this, and this is what I've decided here, okay, this is why my frequency is what it is, because of what I see and what I've decided. It's never been done here before. Really, basically, it hasn't. Because, we're at that point, we got to do something, or I'm just saying, I'm going to do something. I'm not going to stand here and watch the world burn. I'm going to take the risk and do something, and I'm going to focus on, I'm going to decide this, and that it be so. And this is the real universal, what I call the real universal position. I was going to call it the real universal community, but I don't want the word community in there. Then people are going to think it's some kind of commune. That's not the idea, but it's with your real awareness. So that's what I'm saying, and that is that yes, as we're doing these things accordingly, to see what's going to be showing up here, that where we don't need any of this at all, none of it, Skype, the whole thing, we don't. Okay, so that's the focus, and that's what we're. It's kind of like Tesla building the machine, and when he built it, and I did my jobs the same way, I already saw them complete. I didn't have plans or anything. I already saw it, and I just went through it to the end result is what I did. I just built it is what I did. And so Tesla did that too. He set something up to where he got the focus to come in. And like he picked Colorado or Nevada. Yeah, it was Colorado or whatever, because he saw that there was a concentration there of what he needed, and then he built his tower, and J.P. Morgan backed it. But as soon as J.P. Morgan got his secrets, he destroyed it all. That's why he destroyed it, because he stole everything Tesla had. And so that's what I've decided here. That's this, the vessel project is part of that, okay? But that is more so the watered down effect. That's the university, the homeschooling, the vessel project. That's a demonstration to people in the physical sense. Just like the Statue of Liberty, I've said. That's in the physical sense to get them going with something. That's to start them off. It's like, oh, wow, look at that vessel. I mean, it's huge. It's awesome. Get their attention. That's an attention getter. That's not really it. The real universal position, what I call here, this is it for this. And this will, you might say, open a portal. We'll just use that idea to the real universes right here. See, that's what that is. And so this is my focus, to put together this project, because that project will equal that, because the is has agreed. You see? It's very interesting. And there's more taking place than that. That's what it's about. So we have all these things. And so this is what I'm presenting to you and everyone else. And as you decide to also focus on that, this reality can become more so, but you decide that. You see, and most people, they won't, because they want their personal life. They want their personal things and routines and all these things that they've had. And so again, to stand in that real position. So now what Paul hinted at, all right, now it's a possible reality in a true sense, to where you really are this real being of light. It's not something that you leave your body with and go to the real side and experience. No, it's an isness. And so, because it's all here and now, there's no up or down anymore with this isness. This is the best part of it. So that's the idea, you see. So again, we have all these mechanics going on. And yeah, just like you said, the simulator. But the actually flying the plane, that's a simulator too. It's no different. They just appear different, you see? And so this is where people get caught up thinking that, oh, this is reality, that's the simulator. But no, it's all the same thing. It's like watching a movie and you see the stars in the movie. Well, you know it's a movie that's just celluloid or whatever we call it. Not celluloid, but whatever it is, the word for film. And then we want to see the movie star in the flesh because, oh, that's the real person. But actually, it's not, is it? It's the real awareness is the real person. And so again, we tend ourselves, we look at that as the absolute, but it's not the absolute. So taking the next step to bring something here that isn't identified, but is real with everything. So there's kind of a hint at it. But anyhow, no, it's not a criticism or anything. What I'm saying, I'm just always looking at that next position that is not seen. And for the most part, most people will look for something that because they refer to this physical part as their reality. Well, the physical world and what we're experiencing here and all the stuff that's destroying everything, this has become our reality. So accordingly, so we're looking to fix it. Well, realistically, the only thing that's going to fix it, just like Sandy was talking about the music and whatever, and etc. Well, that's a vibration you can't see. That's an aspect of something that soothes people or what have you. It can calm them down. Yeah, the music has that. And then, the heavy rock music, it's destructive and people become destructive, etc. Drugs, alcohol, and they do all these crazy things and use the OD and kill themselves. It's all self-destructive. Well, that's in creation. And so what is it that, aside from all this, that can still be presented? And so this is where the individual, this is their intent, and decides to really see what is real from all that they've known and considered. This is the best part, you see. So anyhow, go ahead.
Is there anything in the worlds of cause and effect and creation that we're living in that will help us to see what the real side is. I mean, is there any connection at all that we can use to help ourselves become more aware? And I fully agree with you. When you simulate an airplane and get it in a real airplane, it's all part of the creation. But is there anything in creation that actually does represent the real side that we can use like that, but that it really works to help us see the real side?
Yes, young man, and I've said it many times. Everything that you're experiencing. Yeah, again, so we're going through the literal factors here. But you see, this is where, like I've said many times, nothing is negated. You look at everything that we've come through. Even Paul did it in herbs. Oh, ek foods, cow foods, okay, etc. Well, we have a lot of cow foods today. You got cow can too. If you got a dog, you feed your dog cow can. Is that a hint? Whatever. That's just a joke, really. No, creation is what it is. However it looks or whatever, it's all the same thing still. Yes, and we need creation. We need creation to see what isn't real. But at the same time, the reality of creation is necessary, you see? So this is where trying to figure out this so-called reality, this is what we've been taught because of those in certain few individuals that control the systems. The Indians didn't teach their kids this stuff. You see, we're in a controlled environment. What you've been taught and all these mechanics, that's all about control. The money system is for one purpose. We don't need money. It's for control. It's not about, you're going to succeed or you're going to be prosperous or whatever with more money. That's an illusion. That's control. But everything in creation, so again, getting the hints. No, all of creation is necessary, but it's up to you what you do with it. That's the difference because you have the awareness, you see? So again, just by asking the question, well, gee, is there anything in creation that's this or that or what? No, see, again, it's not about that. It's not about all the right and wrongs, the good and bads, the ups and downs, and all these things that we've learned. No, it's not about that at all. I've explained this many times. It's about recognizing your real awareness and how you apply it to creation instead of taking creation and trying to figure out through creation what your real awareness is. See? Yes, and to the personal mind, that's a quagmire. It's like, okay, how do I do this? And so, like I said before, no matter what you do in creation, no matter what it is, you can't add it to, you can't make the isness life is better because it's already perfect. See? So what does that tell you? But at the same time, you're in creation and we're doing all these things. Yes, you do everything. And this is where, many times people think, well, I've got to give up this or I got to give up that because they came through these spiritual paths of, you got to be vegetarian, you've got to be celibate, you've got to do this, you got to take your vows, you can't commit adultery, you can't have 4 wives, or you can't drink alcohol or have wine or whatever. It's all the do's and don'ts. And we've been brought up through this, so we're trying to figure this out. We drag all this stuff with us thinking that, okay, what is it? And so again, you really can't define it with your mind, so you have to go another way. How can you see it to where it makes sense, and then at the same time utilize the faculties in your 5 bodies? This is where it is best to figure out, first of all, those 5 bodies you have and how they operate. And most people don't. They squash them all together. And most, what do a lot of people say? I've heard it many times. Oh, well, I just love everything. Okay, does that do it? No, it doesn't do it. There's a lot of people loving in the world and praying. It ain't working. It's getting worse. And the love idea is usually with their emotional body. It's sensation. So when people say, I feel something, they're talking about their emotional body, which is fine. But it's not the real awareness. And when you look at the sun shining, I don't see any feeling there. So is there something more that we're not seeing? This is what I'm saying. So instead of from the application of the personal self and what we've learned, we've come through that. Is there another way to see and be and present something that makes sense in our lives? Or will we just keep doing the same routines and keep thinking the same way and try to apply it to this new isness and thinking that it's going to work when it's not? This is where so many people come and go, because it's a big journey to see that and stand there. That's what I'm saying. So again, in the real universes, there's no conversation, etc. So what I wrote in the books, that's just for the literal mind. It's an isness, it's a completeness, and that's all here now. This is what I'm deciding, but you got to see it. And so what I'm doing is that through all these Skypes and that, I'm preparing everybody, but who's paying attention, you see? So again, just like when people are in the corporation or whatever, for the most part, they're going to bring all their stuff in here, which is fine, and we take a look at it. Nothing is negated. But now, okay, how do we figure out what the new nowness is? And how do we do something accordingly? So as you see, as I'm writing and I'm talking, it's not along the lines of what has been presented before, but yet I'm still delivering it in the literal sense, but yet what I'm referring to is still not that. So what is it? That's the fun part.
I'd say about 2 weeks ago, I had my big aha where all of a sudden I realized that everything around me is part of the all is. I mean, I can't explain it. I mean, it was like total awareness of everything in front of me, behind me, all sides, everything is all part of the all is. But I can't mentalize it. I feel it, and it's like a gut feeling. And a few nights ago, I had a dream. I remember the dream where I saw the all is shining as the shining light that you're always referring to, but I can't mentalize it. I just became aware of it, but I can't put it in words. Is that kind of what you're talking about, sort of?
Yeah, then the next step is to perceive it. So again, learning the language, you might say, we'll just put it in that literal sense of what the all is. So again, yes, we do see it, and a lot of people have experiences with it, but to recognize and perceive it how it is, not just seeing it, that is part of it. No, I get it. And so here's the interesting thing that we're in. Okay, so we see the world. We see it as right now. Okay, we've had history, but we're right now. And we see what's going on in the world. And yes, it is all part of that because we're all in the same life. There is no other life. There are other dimensions, okay, in creation. Creation is broken down like a building. It has different floors, first floor, 10th floor, whatever. That's creation. And this is where many times on the real side, we're in different buildings or we're going up on the elevator. One of the experiences when I was out there teaching in the public, and I would tell people, okay, one of the techniques I give them is imagine yourself walking into an elevator and you push the button and you want to go up, you see? But there was a few people that they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't even go in the elevator because they were afraid. They didn't want to go up. They wanted to stay the same. And or they would meet, the elevator doors would open up and there'd be an old person there, and then the experience would end. And I would say, well, that's you meeting yourself is what it is. You're the old person and you're stuck on that floor, but you decide. Now you have the awareness to decide. So yes, we see the world as it is. And so taking on the challenge of not only becoming more aware, but at the same time, I see all these individuals trapped in their absolute self-convictions and agreeing to the world being destroyed. And so I've decided to take on the challenges. What can I bring forward that will get their attention, and you might say offset this, just like vibrations. You know, you were talking about the sand and how the vibrations come in there. Well, it's really our real awareness when we simply do something that makes sense with the all-natural environment. You see, instead of growing GMO food, We grow natural food, you see, according to how creation is. And not changing it, but we create a new position to where our position takes over to where it all makes sense, as opposed to what is not making sense now. So yeah, it's all part of the is, but do you want to keep agreeing to the distortion that others have decided? You see? I don't. I want to decide my own position. That's wonderful. And I'm not going to interfere with their deciding. See, that's not the idea. It's not through violence or wars or Braveheart and we destroy the enemy or whatever. No, it's not through that, because that doesn't work either. That's all. That doesn't accomplish it. What accomplishes it is that with your real awareness, you see something and you decide to go forward accordingly. You take the risk. Again, I've said it many times. I left at the best of times with my personal life, not the worst. Now, when it got just down ragged disasters, I left at the best of times where everything was taken care of, because I came to do this. I came to take the risk to see more and to present something, because I couldn't have done it there because, again, the personal relationships that were going on. And this is more than that, to where it takes care of everything. And so to bring this forward, again, Paul was the babysitter. And you see what the end result of that is. When you're utilizing creation in a particular way, it's cause and effect. It's still cause and effect. This is where people try to create something that is the ultimate. What I'm deciding is more than creation. It's not just a community like we saw this film, Rashish, Val and Kelsey and I, we watched this, and they did phenomenal. This guy was from India, and then he had his secretary, I forget what her name is, Sandy or Sharon or whatever. She comes over and she finds a place in Oregon. I'm sure a lot of people in the 70s and 80s, whatever, saw this guy. He came over here. And then they did phenomenal in several years. And then the feds came in and arrested people and all this stuff, etc. And then a religious billionaire took it over, and now it's all Christian or whatever. It doesn't matter. This is how the world is. And so again, yes, the things that I'm doing are that, but this position that I'm deciding, I want to see how this comes out, because it has nothing to do with creation, but at the same time, it's part of creation too. So again, we have a real awareness that's endless, and that it's not about just the considerations we make. We utilize the considerations accordingly. Yes, you're going to do your dishes, you're going to vacuum the house, you're not going to, don't worry, you don't have to give that up, etc. You're still going to do all those little things and go shopping at the store and, call your relatives up and say happy birthday and all these things. But yet at the same time, there's something else. Or do you want to just keep growing old and that's it? Are you willing to take the risk for something else? Well, I am. So again, and it will be to a point to where, the individual, you might say, will just become invisible and disappear with this, but it will be available here because it's decided. And so who can even imagine that? So again, we have all these calculations going, and we're dealing with whatever, and we have the John Ellis water machine. We have that. It's a great idea for now. But I don't see that as the end result. So again, what is being proposed here, and this is what I'm saying, when Sandy's bringing this up, it's wonderful. So taking it to the next step, everything that you've known, taking it to the next step, what else is there to where we don't need these restrictions anymore? That's the idea. So right now we're dealing with restrictions, and we agree to them. And just like the music of the world, you see all different types of music in the world, and a lot of it's beautiful, it's wonderful, it makes people feel good. But actually, it's all restricting, isn't it? It really is. It gets people self-convinced to feel good about themselves, this one-dimensional personal self. Are they taking the time to seeing the 5 bodies that they have to deal with and everything? Well, they don't want to. They want to bring it all into the physical and just grow old. Well, that's the process that you've done before. I don't want to see myself do that again, so I'm taking the risk to do everything I can that's not about that, and utilizing creation at the same time. See? That's all. Go